Well, welcome everyone to our 45-minute Vinyasa practice. And let's find a seated posture to begin. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. Let your eyes close down if you like, and just begin to follow the breath flowing in and flowing out. About 4 more breaths. Maybe begin to have a sensation of sort of everything slowing around you. Almost as though time itself were slowing down. And a couple more breaths. Let the breath begin to slow as well. Now take a deep breath in through the nose and open your mouth to exhale. Do that again, a big deep breath in through the nose and open mouth exhale. Good work. We're going to begin this practice on our back. So come down to your back and then bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees come apart. And this pose is called an inverted Cobbler pose. In Sanskrit, it's called Supta Baddha Konasana. Now stay with the breath, and as you breathe in, feel the breath flowing down towards your pubic bone, and as you exhale, see if you can relax the upper part of the legs and the outside of the hips a little bit so that the knees drop down a little bit closer to the floor. And we're going to take 3 more breaths that way, breathing in deeply, and then exhale and relax the hips and the legs, let the knees drop down. It's almost imperceptible, the movement of the knees. And 2 more. And 1 more big deep breath. Now after the exhale, bring your hands to the outside of the knees, help the knees back in. The soles of the feet come to the mat. Heel toe your feet so they're about hip width apart. And then press your feet into the mat and lift your hips into a very gentle bridge pose. Now draw your shoulder blades a little closer together on the back. Take a deep breath. And then let the breath go, stay in the pose. Do that twice more. Deep breath in. Exhale and stay in the pose. And 1 more time. Big deep breath. And exhale. This time bring the tailbone to the mat. And once your tailbone lands, hug the knees in towards your chest. If you like, you can bring your forehead towards your knees, rounding the spine now. And then release the back of the head to the mat. Bring your hands down by your side, palms facing down, the arms are straight. Then straighten the legs and reach the heels up to the sky. Press through the heels until you feel a stretch in the back of the legs. And now pull your tailbone down towards the mat if you've lifted it up. Now point the toes so the toes point up towards the sky. And then bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees come apart. And then bring the pinky toe side of the feet down to the mat, the knees come apart. We're back to where we started in our inverted Cobbler pose. Take a deep breath. Exhale and relax the outside of the hips. Let the knees come down again towards the mat. 2 more breaths like that, breathing in deeply. Exhaling and relaxing the legs. And 1 more time. Deep breath in. And exhale and let it go. Bring the knees back together. The soles of the feet come to the mat as we prepare for another bridge pose. Now press into the feet and lift the hips. Draw your shoulder blades together a little, and maybe if you want, see if you can lift your hips up a little bit higher. Moving into more of a back bend in bridge pose. 2 more deep breaths. And 1 more. Now as you exhale, slowly let the tailbone come down to the mat. Once it lands, hug the knees in again towards the chest. And we're going to do something a little different now. Bring the forehead towards the knees. That's not different. And then release the back of the head. Now bring the arms out to a T with the palms facing down. And bring your knees so they're right over your hips. And then let your knees move to the left and pause. Let them hover there for a moment. And then bring it back to center as the core engages and let the knees move over to the right. Do that again. Bring the knees back to center and then over to the left. Hover and then bring the knees back to center and over to the right. And they're going to hover there. And then back to center one more time on each side. Off to the left and back to center and then off to the right. This is the last one. And then bring the knees back to center. Bring the hands back down by your sides, palms face down. Press the heels up to the sky. Press your tailbone down. Now press up through the heels until you feel that stretch. I'm feeling it in the hamstrings as well as the back of my knees. And now point your toes. And then the soles of the feet come together as the knees move apart. And then bring the knees together and rock yourself right up to a seat. And then once you're seated, come to your knees. But let me move to the side, show you what I mean. But with your butt on your heels, if you can, hands on thighs, palms facing down. Take a deep breath. Whew, and let it go. Do that again, a big deep breath. And let it go. On an inhale, lift your chin. And then on the exhale, bring your chin to your chest, draw your navel in, and bring your forehead down towards your knees. Rounding forward. Inhale, rise back up. Bring the shoulder blades together, press your chest up, lift the chin high. And exhale, bring the chin to the chest, round by bringing the forehead down towards the knees. And again, up. Lift the chin. And exhale, bringing the chin towards the chest, rounding the spine, and then come back up to kneeling, back to where we started, and then bring the arms out to a T, bring the right hand down and reach the left hand up and over. And notice my left elbow is pretty much over my head, so I'm not bringing the elbow forward like that. I want the elbow pretty much straight up. And now I'm going to press my hips to the left a little bit and reach with that left hand. And that's going to create a greater stretch on the left side of my body. Keep your gaze straight forward if you can. Now engage the core as you rise up. The spine lengthens. And then bring the left hand down and reach with the right hand. We're going to do the same thing but opposite. So press the hips to the right. Reach the right hand off to the left. And begin to feel that stretch on the right side of the body. Now inhale and rise back up. And then reach both hands up and overhead, interlace the fingers, and press the palms towards the sky. Draw your navel in. Press up a little bit higher so you feel a stretch in the shoulders. And then release the hands to a T, and we're going to take a twist to the left. Bring your right hand to the outside of that left knee, and see if you can bring the left hand to the outside of the right foot, the pinky toe side of the right foot. Now breathe in deeply and keep your spine long. So try not to slouch around. And then pull the left shoulder back and look over that left shoulder. Take a deep breath. Exhale into the twist just a bit more if you can. And then let it go. Flow right over to the other side. Left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. The right hand gets a hold of the outside of that left foot if you can. Now breathe in deeply so you feel your spine lengthening. And then exhale into the twist, looking over your right shoulder. Do that a second time. Deep breath in. Exhale and twist. Good job. Back to center. Now reach your hands forward and let your hips drop down to your heels. You can bring your knees a little bit apart here if you like, so that your upper body may come between the thighs. Now walk the hands forward so you feel a big stretch in the spine. And maybe for some of you, your forehead or your nose is even resting on your mat. Now lengthen, walking the hands forward just a little bit more. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, walk your hands off to the left. And then reach through the right hand a little bit more than the left hand. This is another side body stretch. So we're creating kind of a C-shaped curve in the spine. Make sure your shoulders are level. And then walk the hands back through center. And then over to the other side. And now reach through the left hand a little bit more than the right hand. Make sure your shoulders are level again. And feel that nice stretch. At least it feels good to me on the left side of the body. All the way from the armpit down towards the hip. And now back to center. And then rise to table pose. Once you're in table pose, press your hands into the mat. Spread your fingers wide. So see, I'm spreading my fingers really wide, so I start to feel a stretch in the skin of my palms. And then I press into the palms as well as the pads of the fingers. And that lifts my shoulders up. Now I'm lifting my navel up a little bit, so I'm not rounding the lower spine. And now I drop the belly and lift the chin into cow pose, into cow pose. And then exhale into cat. And inhale into cow pose, dropping your belly, lifting your chin high, and exhale into cat. Just continue flowing between cow, and then exhaling to cat. And feel free if you want to let your eyes close down. Now, if in this flow you feel like you want to move your body in some other way, feel free to do that as well. So you don't need to continue moving between cow and cat. Maybe you want to move your hips to the side or in circles. Maybe you want to change the orientation of the pelvis a little bit. Maybe you want to move your knees apart just a bit. Or maybe bring them back together. So it's yours to explore for another few breaths. And I'm doing the same. Now 2 more breaths. And then 1 more. Good. Now come back to table pose. And then step your right foot forward, bringing the right foot between the hands, tuck the toes, and bring your left knee off the mat. So we've come to runner's lunge. Press back on the left heel until you start to feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of that left calf. And then step your left foot forward into a standing forward fold. Here, let your head drop down and feel free to bend your knees a bit. As you bend your knees, you'll find probably that the top of your head comes closer to the mat or your big toes. Now bring your weight forward a bit. So when I first got into this pose, I noticed my weight's back in my heels. And now I'm going to walk my hands forward a little bit so the hands are actually sort of in front of my feet. And then I can bring the weight into the front of the feet without worrying that I'm going to fall forward and embarrass myself in front of you. Take a deep breath. And exhale, let the breath go. Do that again, a big deep breath. Now let your head drop down a little bit more on the exhale. Now press into the front of the feet in reverse swan dive as you rise, coming up. Bring the palms together and then bring them to heart center. Inhale, reach back up. And arms out to a T, swan dive, forward fold. Bring the hands all the way down to the mat. Now leave your left foot forward and step your right foot back into runner's lunge. Press back on the right heel. A little bit more until you feel that nice stretch in the calf on that right leg. And then step the left foot back to plank pose. Take a breath in plank. And then bring the knees to the mat. Keep your hands about where they are, but press back towards child's pose, keeping the knees where they are, so the knees don't come apart in this version of child's pose. We've done this many times before. Glide the hips forward now and down. Press the pubic bone down. Elbows are nice and straight. Shoulders are rising. Gaze is forward. Nice back bend. And then press back towards child's pose. Keeping the spine long, letting the hips settle down to the heels if you can, and then inhale and glide it forward. Drop the hips down, look forward, and then press back again towards child's pose. This will be the last time through, gliding forward. And then come back towards table pose, and from there tuck your toes and lift your hips into a downward facing dog. Once you're in downward dog, feel free to pedal it out. So bend one knee and then the other. And notice that as you bend one knee, it doesn't matter which one it is, you can press your hips back towards the opposite side. So if you bend your left knee, press your hips to the right. And if you bend your right knee, press your hips to the left. Notice that the heel is coming down towards the mat. Maybe it reaches, maybe it doesn't. Now on an inhale, reach your right leg up and then step the right foot forward so it comes between the hands. Left foot's going to follow into a standing forward fold. Come now to a half lift, bringing your hands to the top of your shins. Lengthen your spine, looking straight down. And then exhale and fold forward again. Now with your chin on your chest, round your spine as you rise up, drawing the navel up as you rise. Let the arms float high, look up and bring the palms together and then down to heart center. On an inhale, reach back up. This time bring the hands behind you and interlace your fingers behind your back. Now if you can, straighten your elbows. That draws the shoulder blades together. Now look straight forward so the chin isn't tucked or lifted. Take a deep breath. Keep the chin in that same orientation as you begin to hinge at the hips. Notice the spine stays long. Try not to round. Knees can bend a little here if you like. And then reach the knuckles up and overhead. Take a deep breath. And then exhale and release the hands. Bring them down to the mat. Leave your right foot forward. Step your left foot back into runner's lunge. And then bring the left knee to the mat, untuck the toes on that left foot, and rise to a low crescent lunge. Reach up through the wrists, relax your fingers, press that right knee forward just a little bit more. Now bring the arms out to a T, and then drop the right arm down and reach up and over with the left. And then press into the right foot and lift the right hand up and let the left hand drop down. And we're just going to move the arms from side to side, creating a little bit of a stretch on the side body. Also playing a little bit with balance here. And then back to center, arms out to a T. Let's take a prayer twist to your right side. The left elbow comes to the right knee. Palms come together and the right elbow reaches over the palms. Take a deep breath. And do that again, a big deep breath. Now keep the palms together as you press into the right foot. The core activates as you come back to center. Reach up high and then bring the hands behind you again. Interlace the fingers and press the knuckles towards that left heel. Lift your gaze so you're looking straight forward. Now press into the right foot and maybe lift your gaze up so you're looking towards the sky now. Take a breath. And then release. Level your chin. Reach up high. And exhale the hands down on either side of the right foot. Tuck the toes and the left knee comes off the mat as you step the right foot back into plank pose. Take a breath. And again, a big deep breath. And one more, big deep breath. On the exhale, let the knees come down and then untuck the toes. Bring your chest and chin to the mat. And make like an inchworm into Cobra pose. Once in Cobra, press the pubic bone down a little bit more towards the mat. Lift your chest if you can. Gaze straight forward. And then release. Bring it all the way down. Now tuck your toes, stiffen your body and push up to plank. And then bring the hips into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in downward dog, feeling that nice stretch. I feel it in the back of the legs. I feel it in my back, the middle part of the back, the low back, and even into the back of the shoulders. Feel a nice little stretch in my neck. One more breath. Now, lift the left leg up. And how's your step forward going? Bring that left foot forward between the hands. And then bring the right knee to the mat. Untuck the toes on the right foot. And reach up with the arms. Press that left knee forward a little bit more. And then drop your left hand down. Reach up and over with the right hand. And then the other side. Reaching up and over with the left. And up and over with the right. And the left. And one more time with the right. And the last one with the left. And then back to center. Bring the hands behind, interlace the fingers, look up if you want. Remember to press that left knee forward. Notice how your shoulder blades draw together on your back. Now level the chin, reach the arms out to a T, and take your twist. Right elbow to left knee, palms come together, the left elbow reaches high. Couple of breaths. And one more. Now keep your palms together, press in that left foot as you come up, and then reach the arms high, and exhale the hands down on either side of the left foot. Now tuck the toes and bring the right knee off the mat, and we're going to step the left foot back into plank pose. 3 breaths in plank. 2 more, stay with it. And 1 more. Now bring the knees to the mat and then come all the way down to the belly. Let your chest rest on the mat as well. Bring your arms out to a T with the palms facing down. And we're going to do a half locust pose to begin. And in this version of the pose, what we're going to do is lift the chest and the hands and the head off the mat. The tops of the feet will still press into the mat. So inhale, lift up, and breathe. You can fly a little bit if you want with your hands. Another breath or 2. And then release. Bring your cheek to the mat and bring your arms down by your side, palms facing down. So the arms are long. Now on an inhale, press gently into the palms and lift the knees and the feet off the mat. Try and keep your legs straight, but your chest is still on the mat. So this is Locust Pose, bottom half. And 1 more breath. Good job. Release. Cheek to the mat again. Couple of breaths. And 1 more. Now, interlace the fingers behind the back, and we're going to do a full locust pose, straightening the elbows, lift the hands up, and then pick the feet up, lift the chest up, even the belly off the mat if you can. And breathe. 2 more. And 1 more. And release. Bring your cheek to the mat. Release your hands. Just enjoy a couple of breaths. And then when you're ready, bring your hands right under the shoulders. And then tuck the toes, push to plank, and find downward facing dog. Now lengthen. Press your hands forward into the mat like you're stretching the mat forward towards the front of the space. Now bend your knees and either hop or walk forward so the feet end up eventually between the hands. And you can bring your hands forward a little bit if you like to kind of steady yourself as you bring more weight into the front of the feet. Now bring your arms out to a T, press into the front of the feet and rise. Nice and slow coming up. So you feel real muscular engagement, deep engagement in the glutes and the abdominal muscles. Once you're all the way up, let your arms float high. And then exhale, bringing the hands back to heart center. And take a breath. And 1 more. Good. Now let your eyes close down and bring your feet so they're a little bit less than hip width apart. And I want you to just pay attention to what it feels like to feel pressure and weight in both feet equally. And if you notice you have more weight on one side than the other, just kind of equalize that. This works best with your eyes closed, so you can really pay attention to the feeling, the sensation of balancing on both feet. When you're ready, let your eyes open, and then we're going to find tree pose. So transfer the weight. Just let the weight move over into the right foot. The left foot can just dangle for a second, and then slowly bring the left foot up. Whoa! into tree pose. And then find your version of the pose. As you know, often I teach the pose with the big toe of the left foot on the mat and the left heel on the right ankle. And if that's where you are in the pose, it's perfectly okay. Just stay there. Maybe open that left knee up a little bit more. Feel the weight in the right foot. Keep your gaze forward but soft. Now, bring that left knee forward and then lift it up so the thigh is level with the mat. And then straighten the left leg. Whoops. Pressing the left foot forward. And then let the knee bend and bring the left leg all the way down. Take a moment again to feel the weight distributed evenly on both feet. Just feeling nice and centered. Now when you're ready, transfer the weight to the left foot and let the right foot rise into tree pose. Find your place in the pose again. Maybe open the right knee a little bit more. Off to the right side. And now release the right foot. Bend the right knee, lifting it up. And then straighten the right leg, pressing the right heel forward. And then bend the knee. And bring the right foot down so it meets the left foot. Reach the arms up and overhead and out to a T. Swan dive now to a forward fold. Come to a half lift. And exhale the hands all the way down to the mat. Step back with the right foot and then the left foot. Oh, Jack has come to see us today. Hi, Jack. Now flow through a Vinyasa, upward facing dog. And when you're ready, downward facing dog. Bend the knees deeply. Hop forward so the feet end up between the hands, arms to a T. Press into the front of the feet and rise. Reach up high. And as you exhale, bend the knees and come to chair pose. Pull your tailbone down towards your heels a little bit more. Hey, buddy. He doesn't come see us very much in class anymore. Bring the hands to heart center now, staying in chair. Bring the left elbow to the right knee. The right elbow reaches high into a chair twist. And back to center to the other side. Right elbow to left knee. And back to center. Reach up high. Back to chair. Bring the weight back into the heels a bit. And then straighten the legs and swan dive to a forward fold. Come to a half lift. As you exhale, right foot stays forward, left foot steps back into a runner's lunge. Now spin your left heel to the mat, anchor into the pinky toe of the left foot, and rise to warrior two. Make sure that the toes on the right foot are pointing straight forward, and the right knee is pressing forward, same direction. Take a breath. Now extended side angle. Bring the elbow to the knee, reach with the left hand. Another way to do this pose is to bring the right hand all the way down to the mat and reach through the left. The pose is taught both ways. I just want you to know about that option. Now reach through the left hand, anchor into the pinky toe of the left foot, and then rise back to warrior two. Straighten the right leg and reach up and back with the right hand. Reverse triangle pose. Back to warrior two now. And then reverse triangle pose second time. Back to warrior two. And reverse triangle pose. Now draw your navel in. Pull that left hip back a little bit. Now arms come out to a T. And triangle pose. Reach with the right hand and bring it down. Left hand is high. The alignment we're working towards here is the left hand over the left shoulder and the left shoulder over the right shoulder and the right shoulder over the right hand. Now bend the right knee and rise back to warrior two. Straighten the right leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle, warrior two, reverse triangle, warrior two,
One more time. Reverse triangle. Warrior two. Take a deep breath. Settle into warrior two. And then cartwheel your hands down on either side of the right foot. Step the right foot back to plank pose. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, flow through a vinyasa into upward facing dog. You can hold that for a breath or two or even three if you like. And then when you're ready, tuck your toes and lift your hips, bringing them high into downward facing dog. Stretch it out. One more breath. Now inhale and reach the left leg up. And then step the left foot forward so it comes between the hands. Spin the right heel to the mat and rise to warrior two. Now I'm going to face away from you this time. Bend that left knee so the left knee is pointing straight forward towards the front of the mat. Now extended side angle pose. Reach through the right hand. Remember to press into the pinky toe of that right foot. On an inhale, rise back to warrior two. And then straighten the left leg. Reach up and back with the left hand. And then back to warrior two. And again, reverse triangle pose and warrior two. And last one, reverse triangle pose and warrior two. Almost the last one. Straighten the left leg. Now reach with the right hand, bring it down. Triangle pose. Find a couple of breaths. And one more. Now bend the left knee, rise back to warrior two, and then straighten the left leg, reach up and back with the left hand. Now left knee bends to warrior two, and then bring the hands down on either side of that left foot. Step the left foot back to plank pose. Now bring your knees to the mat, bring the elbows to the mat, and you can either keep your forearms parallel to one another here, or you can interlace the fingers or just clasp your hands one over the other, forming kind of an A shape. Now tuck your toes and come into Dolphin Plank pose. Now in Dolphin Plank, the shoulders, the hips, and the heels are all about in the same line. And find two more breaths. And one more. Now begin to walk the feet forward into Dolphin Pose. Notice I'm pressing into my elbows so that my chest is kind of reaching back towards my big toes. I can let my head drop down if you want, or if I want, you can do the same. Now take a breath, and then when you exhale, let your heels come down towards the mat a little bit more. Feel that great stretch in the back of the legs. Do that again. Inhale. And exhale, press the heels down, press into the elbows. Now glide forward back to Dolphin Plank, and then bring your knees to the mat, untuck the toes, come all the way down, and then bring the elbows so the elbows are right under the shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide, and press the pads of your fingers into the mat. Now what we're going to do is come into Sphinx Pose, and in Sphinx Pose, I want you to kind of try and pull your hands towards your body, although the hands don't actually move on the mat. So inhale, lift up, look straight forward, just like the Sphinx does, and then pull your hands towards your body and feel that stretch come into the abdominal muscles. Couple more breaths like that. And one more. And then let it go. Walk the hands back under the shoulders, press to plank, and lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Stretch it out. On an inhale, reach the right leg high and find three-legged dog, opening the hips to the right. And then level the hips. And bring the right foot down. Reach the left foot up. Three-legged dog, second side. And then level the hips. Now bend the knees, take a hop, and feet end up eventually between your hands. Let your head drop down and bring the weight into the front of the feet. Now bend your knees, bring your hands behind you, and just come to a seat. Hi, Jack. Say hi to everybody. Once you're there, find a cross-legged position. Now bring the feet straight out in front of you. I'll turn to the side so you can see. Press the heels away. Reach the arms up and overhead. And then exhale and fold forward. Move, buddy. And see if you can get a hold of your shins or your ankles or your feet. Let your head drop down. Now lengthen the spine, bending the knees here if you need to. If you bend the knees, that'll make it a little bit easier to let your upper body rest on your thighs. Now keep your chin on your chest, or bring your chin to your chest. Draw your navel in and rise up. And now keep that right leg straight. Bend the left knee and bring the sole of the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. And I'm going to show you on this side for a second. So I'm pressing the whole sole of that left foot down. And I have the a foot as close to the outside of that right leg as I can. Now, from there, what I'm going to do is draw my right knee, or left knee rather, in with my right arm, and then bring the left hand down behind me. Press through the right heel, and then let your spine lengthen, and then exhale into a twist. To initiate the twist, pull the navel to the left, twisting from the navel instead of the shoulders. Do that again, a big deep breath in. Exhale into the twist. Hug that knee in nice and tight. And one more time, big deep breath. Exhale into the twist. Now let it go. Let it all come back to center. And then we'll go over to the other side. So bend the right knee, sole the right foot to the outside of the left thigh. Hug that right knee in with your left arm and bring the right hand down behind you. Very little weight on that right hand. It's just kind of there to steady you. On an inhale, spine lengthens. On an exhale, pull the navel to the right. And do that again. Big deep breath. Exhale and twist. And one more time, a big deep breath. And exhale into the twist. And then let it go. Bring it all back to center. Bring the legs out in front and maybe slap the back of the knees into the mat a little bit. And then bend the knees and roll all the way down onto your back. Once you're there and your head is resting on the mat, let's find Happy Baby Pose. Notice the soles of my feet are more or less parallel with the sky or the ceiling. And then my tailbone's lifted up a little bit, so I'm going to pull it back down. That'll increase the stretch in the back of the legs and the hips. Now I'm going to work on relaxing my shoulders because they're lifted up a little too. And now I've found a really comfy place in Happy Baby Pose. I can move more deeply into the pose, relaxing even more, letting the shoulder blades drop down, kind of pressing the lumbar spine, which is curving away from my mat, pressing it down a little bit so there's some contact there. Now release the left hand from the left foot and bring both hands to the right foot. And then straighten the left leg and hug the right knee in a little bit closer to the armpit on the right side. Point the toes on the left foot. Now keep your right foot just where it is in space and keep your left leg straight and let that left heel come all the way down towards the mat. Notice the stretch. See how it feels. Come down as far as you can. Maybe your left heel will come all the way down to the mat. And then slowly lift it all the way back up. And one more time, let it fall down. So that left heel's coming down towards the mat. And then once it lands, lift it all the way back up. Now bend the left knee and we're back to Happy Baby Pose. Transfer the right hand to the left foot now, so both hands are on the left foot. Hug that left knee in towards the armpit as you straighten the right leg. Point the toes on the right foot, and then slowly let that right heel come all the way down to the mat. Feel that nice stretch in the back of the right leg, and maybe you feel a stretch somewhere else as well. Heel lands, and inhale, bring that right leg back up.
And exhale and let it come down. And then once it lands, there it is, lift it all the way back up. Now release the hands from the feet, reach your heels to the sky for legs up the wall pose. Take a breath. Now bring the right foot all the way down to the mat, bending the right knee. We're going to do a supine figure 4. So bend your left knee and bring the left ankle to the right knee. And then interlace the fingers behind that right leg. And then press the left knee away using the strength of that left leg. Notice where you feel a stretch. For me, it's mostly on the outside of that left hip. And now pull your tailbone down towards the mat too. So if you're rounded up like this, you're not going to get very much of a stretch in the hip on the left side. But if you pull your tailbone back down and then press the left knee away, you're probably going to feel a greater stretch. Just explore that. And that's it. Release from that side. Let's go over to the other side, bringing the right ankle to the left knee, interlacing the fingers behind the left leg. Now press that right knee away. And then hug the left knee in a little bit more and then press the right knee away. So you can kind of play with that stretch. At first it'll feel like a pretty significant stretch. And then after a while, it doesn't feel so much, at least for most of us. And then you can hug the left knee in a little more and then press the right knee away and deepen the sensation. And just move through it progressively that way, warming up the muscles, stretching them out. And that's it. Let it go. Hug the knees into the chest and bring your forehead towards your knees so the spine rounds. And then release back to legs up the wall pose with the palms down by your side. Bend the knees. Now, we're going to try something here, a little different. Bring the left ankle to the right knee. Bring your hands out a little bit so you can steady yourself. Let the left knee drop down, and then press in the right foot and see if you can lift your hips off the mat. Press that left knee down a little bit more and lift your hips a little bit higher. Take a breath. And then exhale. And let your tailbone come down to the mat. And then let's go to the other side. So the sole, the left foot comes down, the left knee is bent, and the right ankle is on the left knee. Press in the left foot and lift the hips. And breathe. You can let that right knee drop down a little bit more. And one more breath. And that's it. Let it go. Once your tailbone lands, hug both knees into your chest. And then bring your forehead towards the knees and let's rock and roll forward and back. Just a gentle massage along almost the whole spine. And then when you're ready, eventually rock yourself all the way up to a seat. And once you're seated, find a cross-legged posture. Now breathe in deeply. And let the breath go. And again, a big deep breath. And exhale and let the breath go. You bring your hands to heart center now. And as we bring our practice to a conclusion, join me if you like in offering loving kindness. May you be happy and well, and may you be safe. May you be peaceful, and may you be at ease. Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I will see you again soon, hopefully outdoors before too long. Take care.